A salesman who hasn't hit his number in 3 weeks will do something on a Saturday afternoon that he would never do on the second day of the month. He will walk out to that lot, he will find you, and he will close you at a price he is not supposed to close you at because his manager told him to move the car. Right now, a lot of salesmen are having that Saturday afternoon, and most buyers have no idea. I know what you're thinking. You've heard that before. Now's a great time to buy. Every car commercial in history has said now's a great time to buy. This isn't that. What I'm going to show you is what's actually happening inside the stores right now, why it's happening, and exactly what to say when you walk in, including the part most people don't think about, which is how desperation can actually work against you if you're not watching for it. My name is Ray Voss. I spent 26 years inside the dealership business, ran 3 rooftops as a general manager before I left. I've sat in the Monday morning manager meetings where the GSM puts the sales board up and nobody in the room wants to make eye contact. I know what a store looks like when it needs to move cars. I know what it does. Here's what you're going to walk away with. You'll know how to recognize a dealer who's genuinely under pressure, not performing flexibility, but actually feeling it. You'll know exactly where that pressure opens a door for you, and you'll know where it doesn't because desperate dealers don't get nicer across the board. Some of them get more aggressive in places you're not looking. That's the part worth staying for. Let's get into it. Let me start with what desperation actually looks like from the inside, because if you don't understand the mechanics of it, you're just guessing. Every car on a dealer's lot is borrowed. The dealer takes out a loan from a bank to stock that inventory, every single vehicle, sitting there on the asphalt. That loan accrues interest every day the car doesn't sell. The industry calls this floor plan. Remember that word, floor plan. It means that lot full of cars isn't just unsold inventory, it's a daily expense. The longer those cars sit, the more that dealer is paying just to have them there. On top of that, manufacturers set monthly sales targets. Miss them consistently, and there are consequences. Reduced allocations, pulled incentives, conversations you don't want to have with the regional rep. So the pressure isn't just financial, it's structural. It flows from the manufacturer down to the dealer, from the dealer down to the sales manager, and from the sales manager down to the floor. By the time it reaches the salesman, it's personal. It's his paycheck. Now here's what most buyers miss. That pressure isn't the same on every car on the lot. Some models are sitting, some aren't. A dealer might be perfectly comfortable on trucks and bleeding on sedans. The buyer who knows which model is costing the dealer money every morning has a different conversation than the buyer who just heard it's a good time to buy. Before you go anywhere near a dealership, you want to know the day's supply on the specific vehicle you're considering. Days supply is how many days, at the current sales pace, it would take to sell through all the inventory they have of that model. The industry considers around 60 days healthy. When you start seeing 90, 100, more than that, you're looking at a store that needs to move that car. So when you sit down, you can ask, what's your day's supply on this model right now? That question does something. It signals that you're not browsing. It tells the salesman that the person across from him has done some homework. And his reaction, comfortable or not, tells you something real about where you stand before the negotiation even starts. Now let's talk about where that desperation actually opens a door for you. Because there are 3 specific places in the deal where a store under pressure has more flexibility than a comfortable one. The first is the out-the-door price. Not the sticker, not the monthly payment. The complete number, purchase price, all fees, taxes, everything on paper. That's where you start, not halfway through the conversation, at the beginning. The exact words are, I need to see a complete out-the-door price in writing before we talk about anything else. The reason those words matter, in writing specifically, is that verbal offers have a way of changing by the time the deal gets to the desk. A manager under pressure to move a unit will sometimes make room on that number that he wouldn't make otherwise. But you have to be standing on the right ground to get it. Payment conversations are not that ground. Out the door is. The second place is your trade. A desperate dealer doesn't just need to sell you a car, he needs your trade for his used inventory, which has its own targets and its own pressure. That makes your trade-in more valuable than it looks in a normal market, but only if you keep it separate. The moment you blend the trade into the new car deal, the dealer can give you something on one side and quietly take it back on the other. So you say, I want the trade offer written out separately from the new car deal, both numbers on paper independent of each other. That's it. It forces transparency on both sides of the transaction. The third place is dealer-installed accessories. Window tint, paint sealant, nitrogen in the tires, sometimes a GPS device already wired in. These items get presented like they're part of the car. They're not. In a market where the dealer needs to close, you say, I'm not paying for dealer-installed accessories. If they're on the vehicle, they stay on it at your cost. That line holds more often than people expect right now. Not always, some stores will walk you on it, but more often than in a comfortable market. I want to be fair here. Not every dealership is in distress. Some brands aren't sitting on excess inventory. Some stores run tight and smart. The point isn't to walk in assuming everyone's desperate. The point is to know how to check before you go, and to know what to do when the conditions are right. If this kind of thing is useful to you, there's a place to subscribe below. I do one of these every week. No sponsors, nothing to sell you. Now here's the part most people don't think about. Desperation doesn't make a dealership a friendlier place across the board. That's the part that doesn't make it into the great time to buy conversation. Here's what actually happens. When a store is under pressure to move cars at lower margins, when the sales manager is telling the floor to make deals, the front-end gross on the car goes down. That's the profit on the vehicle itself. And the first call I'd get after telling my managers to do that was from my finance manager. He'd want to know what we were getting on the back. The back end is the finance office. Warranties, gap insurance, credit life, other products bundled into your contract. When the dealer makes less on the car, the finance office is expected to make up the difference somewhere. That's not a theory. That's how the math works inside a store. So here's the reality. You can negotiate a genuinely good price on that vehicle, and then walk into the finance office unprepared and hand back everything you saved. I watched it happen more times than I want to count. The buyer leaves feeling like they won. They did on the car. They didn't on the back end. I'll be straight with you. I ran a finance office. I know what happened in that room when front-end margins got compressed. I'm not going to look away from that. So when you sit down with the finance manager, you say this, I've already decided what I'm going to add on back here. I don't need the full menu, just the base contract, please. That sentence changes the room. It doesn't guarantee anything, but it tells the person across from you that you've been in that chair before, or you know someone who has. It moves the conversation. There's something else that gets more aggressive in a desperate market, not less. The shift to monthly payments. I mentioned this earlier. Dealers want to move you to a payment number as fast as possible. Here's the deeper reason that matters right now. A finance manager can extend your loan term, mark up your interest rate, and bury additional costs into a monthly payment in ways that are genuinely hard to detect if you're focused on the wrong number. The bank tells the dealer what rate you qualify for. The dealer is legally permitted to mark that rate up and keep the difference. That's called dealer reserve. It's disclosed, buried in your paperwork, but disclosed. In a market where front-end gross is compressed, that markup doesn't disappear. Sometimes it goes the other direction. That's why I told you earlier to call your own bank first. Get the rate you pre-qualify for. Write it down. Bring it with you. That number is your anchor. Nobody in that building can move it. Now, I want to address something directly. When a dealership is under financial pressure, attention on the sales floor doesn't distribute evenly. It narrows in certain directions when the store needs money. A seasoned salesman knows within the first couple of minutes how much work a deal is going to take. And when the pressure is on, the path of least resistance gets more traffic. If you're over 60 and you're walking into a dealership right now, I need you to hear this part. The advantage is real. The soft market is real. But the people who've spent careers in this business know how to find the floor on a car deal and still recover margins somewhere else. Your job is to know where that somewhere else is. You've just spent the last several minutes learning exactly that. I want to tell you about a man named Gerald. He came into a store, not one I ran, but one I heard about in enough detail to know how it went. Retired. Came in on a Tuesday, which is actually smart timing. He'd done his homework on the car, knew the trim level he wanted, negotiated the price down to something he felt good about, shook hands in the showroom. Then he went into the finance office. He was in there 45 minutes. When he came out, he had gap insurance on a vehicle he owned outright after the down payment, a warranty that duplicated his existing manufacturer coverage, and a paint protection product at $800. None of it was explained that way. The payment was presented first. The term came later. He signed because the monthly number looked right. He saved about $1,500 on the car. He spent close to $3,000 in that office. Gerald wasn't naive. The system was just faster than he was that day. You don't have to be faster. You just have to know what's coming before you sit down. And now you do. Here's the thing. Dealers being desperate doesn't automatically mean you win. Information is what makes you win. Walking in there knowing what floor plan interest costs them, knowing what day's supply means, knowing what to say before you sit down in the finance office, that's what moves the deal in your direction. Desperation just opens the door. You still have to know how to walk through it. So let's make sure you do. Before you step on any lot, look up the day's supply on the specific model you're considering. You want to know if that car is bleeding for them or not. Call your bank or credit union this week and ask what rate you pre-qualify for on an auto loan. Write the number down, bring it with you. And when you sit down with the salesman, not in the finance office, at the beginning, before anything else, you say, "I need the complete out-the-door price in writing before we go any further." That's the sentence. Say it early. Everything else follows from there. You don't have to walk in with all of it memorized. If you take just 2 things from this video, take the out-the-door price demand and your own bank's rate. Those 2 alone will protect most of the ground that buyers give back. I said at the top that a salesman 3 weeks behind on his number will do things on a Saturday afternoon he wouldn't do on the 2nd of the month. That's still true. What I want you to understand now is the full picture. The market being what it is right now doesn't mean the dealership became a different kind of place. The training didn't change. The finance office didn't close. What changed is where the pressure is sitting. Right now, more of it is on their side of the desk than yours. That's worth something. Go use it. That salesman on the lot, he's not a bad person. He's got bills. He's got a manager behind him. I was that guy once. I know what that pressure feels like from the inside. But I also know what you're walking into, and now, so do you. Before you walk onto any lot, call your bank first. Get that number, write it down. That one thing alone changes the conversation. That's it. That's the video. Next one covers something the finance office will never volunteer to explain. You're going to want to see it.